The Villages, Florida real estate market is collapsing right now, and what I'm about to show you is something realtors and developers absolutely do not want you knowing about. Home prices in the Villages have crashed 18% from their peak. That's not a small correction, that's a full-blown market collapse. And there's a $350 million scandal behind all of this that's shaking the entire community to its core. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why this is happening and what it means if you're thinking about buying or selling in the Villages. Let's talk numbers first because they're brutal. The Villages housing market right now has a forecast score of 28 out of 100. To put that in perspective, anything below 50 means it's a complete buyer's market. We're talking rock bottom here. Sellers have zero leverage. There are roughly 600 active listings sitting on the market right now, which creates an 8 to 10 month supply of inventory. In a healthy, balanced market, you want 4 to 6 months. 8 to 10 months means there are way too many homes and not enough buyers. And here's where it gets worse. 34.5% of those listings have already had price cuts. More than 1 out of every 3 sellers has dropped their asking price trying to get anyone interested. That's one of the highest price reduction rates in all of Central Florida. And this next part is the scariest. The median home price in the Villages dropped to $350,000 as of December 2025. That's down 7.9% compared to the same time last year. But if you look at the peak prices from 2021 and 2022, when the market was on fire, we're talking about an 18% drop. 18% means if you bought a home for $400,000, at the peak it's now worth about $328,000. You just lost over $70,000 in equity. And for people who bought with small down payments or took out large mortgages thinking prices would keep climbing, they're now underwater. They owe more on their mortgage than the home is actually worth. This is where retirees get trapped. That's a financial nightmare, especially for people on fixed incomes who were counting on their home as a major part of their retirement savings. Now let me tell you what really triggered this collapse, because it's not just normal market cycles. During the pandemic, everyone was rushing to Florida. No state income tax, warm weather, freedom from lockdowns, it was the promised land. The Villages was marketing itself as the ultimate retirement paradise, and people were buying homes sight unseen. They were waiving inspections. They were bidding over asking price. Between 2020 and 2021, home values in the Villages shot up 31% in a single year. That kind of rapid appreciation is never sustainable. It's speculation and hype, not real value. When interest rates started climbing in 2022 and 2023, the party ended fast. Suddenly, buyers couldn't afford the same mortgage payments. Demand dried up, and all those people who bought at inflated prices were stuck holding properties that nobody wanted to pay peak prices for anymore. But here's the detail nobody is connecting. The real bombshell that's making everything worse is the healthcare crisis. The Villages health system filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in July 2025. This is massive. We're talking about the primary healthcare provider for over 55,000 patients in the Villages community. This isn't some small clinic, this is the backbone of medical care for one of the largest retirement communities in America. And why did they go bankrupt? Court documents revealed that the Villages health system received $350 million in overpayments by fraudulently adding diagnostic codes to patient files to inflate Medicare billing. They were essentially coding patients as sicker than they actually were to squeeze more money out of Medicare. United Health discovered this and said they got stuck paying the majority of those bogus charges. Now they want their money back and the whole system is drowning in debt and legal problems. Think about what this means for anyone living in or considering the Villages. When you're retired, healthcare is everything. It's literally your number one concern. You want to know that if something goes wrong, there's a good hospital nearby with quality doctors and staff. The Villages has always sold itself on having excellent medical facilities right in the community. You don't have to drive an hour to Orlando or Ocala for care. Everything's convenient and close. That was a huge selling point. But now the main healthcare system is bankrupt and dealing with fraud allegations. Doctors might leave. Quality of care could drop. Services might get cut. Patients are scared and confused about whether they'll even have access to the care they need. And when retirees lose confidence in the healthcare system that's supposed to be taking care of them, they start looking at other communities. That kills real estate demand instantly. And this is the part that should terrify current owners. This is where the real estate crash and the healthcare scandal feed into each other and created a downward spiral. Potential buyers who are researching the Villages see home prices dropping, and they wonder why. They start digging and they find out about the healthcare bankruptcy and the $350 million fraud case. That's a massive red flag. Why would anyone want to move to a retirement community where the healthcare system is collapsing? So they look elsewhere. Meanwhile, current residents who are watching their home values tank and dealing with healthcare uncertainty decide they want out before things get even worse. They list their homes. That dumps even more inventory onto an already oversupplied market. More supply and less demand means prices drop further. It's a vicious cycle, and right now, there's no sign of it stopping. Let's also talk about the homeowner association situation because it's adding fuel to the fire. Average HOA fees in the villages run about $190 a month, but the real issue is the rules. No overnight street parking, no yard decorations unless they're pre-approved. You can't make any exterior changes without HOA permission. And different neighborhoods were enforcing these rules inconsistently for years. Then suddenly, the HOA started cracking down hard everywhere. People who'd been there for years with no problems suddenly got violation notices and fines. That kind of arbitrary enforcement, on top of falling property values and healthcare problems, creates a really toxic atmosphere that's pushing more people toward the exit. But wait, there's more risk nobody talks about. The Villages sits in central Florida, right on top of karst limestone, which is porous rock that dissolves over time when water flows through it. This makes central Florida one of the highest risk areas in the entire country for sinkhole activity. Over the past 10 years, the Villages has experienced more sinkholes than most people realize, especially after periods of heavy rain or drought. Both extremes can trigger collapses, and now sinkholes are a known risk in Florida, but when you're already dealing with an 18% price crash and a healthcare system in bankruptcy, the sinkhole issue becomes one more reason for buyers to stay away. Insurance companies are already pulling out of Florida because of hurricane risk. Add sinkholes to that, and you've got a property that's getting harder and harder to insure at reasonable rates. So what does all this mean if you're thinking about buying in the Villages right now? On one hand, you've got incredible negotiating power. Sellers are desperate. Prices have dropped 18%. You can probably get a deal that would have been impossible 2 or 3 years ago, but you need to understand what you're walking into. The healthcare system is in chaos with no clear timeline for when it'll stabilize. The HOA has a reputation for strict enforcement. Sinkholes are a real geological risk, and there's no guarantee that home prices are going to bounce back anytime soon. You could buy now thinking you're getting a bargain and watch prices drop another 5 or 10% over the next year. If you're a current owner in the Villages, especially if you bought near the peak in 2021 or 2022, you're in a really tough spot. Selling now means locking in a significant loss, but staying means riding out all this uncertainty with no clear end in sight. You're watching your home equity evaporate while dealing with healthcare concerns and HOA drama. For some people, the smart move might be to cut losses and get out before things potentially get worse. For others who love the lifestyle and aren't planning to move anytime soon, the short-term price drop might not matter as much. But if you were counting on your home equity as a major part of your retirement finances, you need to seriously reassess where you stand. The bigger lesson here is what happens when a market gets overheated by hype and speculation, and then reality comes crashing back. The Villages went from being the hottest retirement destination in America to a market in freefall in just a few years. The combination of falling prices, healthcare bankruptcy, strict HOA enforcement, and sinkhole risk has created a perfect storm. And right now, there's no clear path forward. The next 6 to 12 months are critical. Either buyers start coming back and prices stabilize, or this downward trend continues and we see even more pain for homeowners. This is the reality of the Villages right now that nobody in the real estate industry wants to talk about openly. But you deserve to know the truth before making any decisions about buying or selling there. The Villages isn't dead, but the easy money era is over.